And it's about to be starting. Almost there. Okay, we are live. We are live. Yay! Wow. Thank you so much for being here, Donalee, for doing this live with me for our community. I'm just so honored to have you in the Six Figure Spiritual Entrepreneurs community. Um, I feel like this is a space where we all get to bring our talents together and grow. And we are all walking on the path of entrepreneurship and learning from each other in this way. It just feels very special to me. It's a vision that was guided by the Spirit. And I'm just so glad to have you um, be here with us today. And for folks who don't know Donalee, Donalee is the best-selling author, boldly bringing spirituality into business. She's the founder and CEO of Complete Solutions, and she empowers business leaders to adapt and thrive in an ever-evolving world. Thank you for being here. Um, if you are watching this live stream live, if you are here with us, do say hi in the comments so that we know you're here. And I'm just excited to get started. So Donalee, share with us what inspired you to start this business?
Well, it's not a big of a deal as we think. It was that still small voice within, that inner guidance telling you to do this. For me, it was 2008 in the midst of a credit crisis. I was going through health issues and I was working for a company who was struggling financially. And I just knew this was the time I had to do it. And it was really not for me at that time. It was really to save my clientele. I was selling print and promotional product, and I warehoused a lot of my clients' goods. So when the bank comes in to take over in a bankruptcy, they just lock the door. They don't care what's in there. You don't get it back. They don't come and say, oh, yeah, you got a receipt. You can have that. Nope. It's just the door's locked. And I considered my clients my family, right? They were my family, my community. They were who I served. And to continue serving them, I needed to protect them through what I could see that they couldn't. And one thing led to another. I mentioned I was having health issues. Those health issues took me down a really dark, deep spiral. 3 back surgeries, a grand mal seizure, and I lost short-term memory. I had all sorts of complications and challenges along the way. But it was really the growth in healing that led me to this business, because it was through my growth and healing my brokenness that I really started listening to this voice more diligently, more, I guess, creating a relationship with it. It was no longer just hearing a voice now and then. It was really creating a relationship with this voice. Now what? And it seems easy enough that you think, well, we always do that. Well, we do when we don't know where we're at. But when we know where we're at, we don't seem to ask. We think we know. And this was a point where it was really calling me out to show me I didn't know. Oh, I think you're muted.
Sorry, I was saying that, wow, okay, there's a lot that happened in 2008 for you.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm understanding this right, you had another job, did you say? Was that a job? And that went through very dramatic shift, right? And
A
your
death.
health,
Oh,
a
yeah.
whole death with the bankruptcy and
Mm-hmm.
everything. And then your body was going through something so dramatic all at the same time or
Yes.
around the same time.
All at the same
And
time.
oh my gosh, the perfect storm.
Yes, it was.
It was. And this is when this new business was born. And I want to just take a moment to hone in on awakening.
Mm.
This is how spiritual awakening happens. You
Yeah.
cannot make this up.
Yep.
You know, you can't control any of this. It is just this like experience that happens when it's like the life is just taken away in a way. Like the
Yes.
life you have been so comfortable living in, just like whoosh, taken away. And that is quite a lot to process. And then somehow, as we process, we land on our 2 feet in a whole different life. So tell me more about it. So these things were happening. And then what happened? Like, where did you find yourself landing in that moment with the new business?
Yeah. It wasn't until, you know, it was really hard just for all the listeners. We all get caught up in our own storytelling, right? But what's really impactful is how we're influenced by others and how we're influenced even against our wishes. My doctor had a prognosis for my future. He said, after 3 back surgeries, you'll forever live in back pain. You'll be back in a year for a
Hmm.
fusion. Winters will be hard on you because the cold will make your bones ache even more.
Hmm.
You'll never be pain free. And I realized months after the last surgery, I couldn't get the doctor's prognosis out of my head. I couldn't stop repeating his story, not my story. That was not
Hmm.
my story.
Hmm.
I didn't even know what my story was at that point. It wasn't
Hmm.
until my brother checking up on me called one Friday and wanted to know how I was doing. And when I told him I felt like I just sat here, stared at my computer screen all day, he told me to tell a different story. And I got angry and I yelled at him. And I said, "What, you want me to lie to you?" Like I couldn't relate to what he was asking. And it ended unpleasant where I ended up hanging up on him. But then later that day, in my own grief and remorse, reflecting on it, I knew he meant well. What could he have meant by tell a different story? And I remember Dr. Norman Vincent Peale's quote, change your thoughts and you change your reality. And
Hmm.
I knew
Hmm.
that's what he meant. I had to change my
Hmm.
thoughts.
Hmm.
Even though that was my reality, my
Hmm.
brother was asking me to change my thinking.
Yeah.
And I, even at that point, I was like, okay, what is the best thinking thought I can come up with? And I had to start saying, what if, what if, what if, what if, because I couldn't even get there. I had been repeating the doctor's prognosis for months, and I had a program that was holding me stuck. And it wasn't
Hmm.
until I realized, what if every day, in every way, I am getting better? And I just
Hmm.
can't see it yet. Like it's just
Hmm.
that 1%.
Hmm.
And it's
Oh.
cumulative, right? It's
Hmm.
cumulative. So after a lot of 1% shifts, I'm going to start to notice it. But what if while it's all happening, I
Hmm.
believed it before I could see it?
Right.
And
Right.
that really was the start to healing. And it was the start
Hmm.
to asking bigger questions, what I need to do to
Hmm.
heal. What does my
Hmm.
body need to get better?
Hmm. Hmm. Wow.
Wow.
You know,
You know,
I'm
I'm
have
have
I'm having this light bulb moment in my head right now. And the light bulb moment is this coming together in your own journey as I'm kind of witnessing you talk about what you experienced back in 2008. Um, you you mentioned like I read your bio actually in the beginning of this call, and there was something about supporting business leaders in adapting in this ever evolving world, right?
yes,
And
yes,
now I see why, because your world changed so quickly And completely now I see the reason why behind the work you do. Now, in our community, this is a community of entrepreneurs. That means our world is held hostage by uncertainty. We're
Mm.
constantly working through uncertainty. Could you offer us something to bridge that ever evolving and uncertainty? Like how do we combine? How do we bridge this? How do we adapt to accepting uncertainty? And maybe acceptance is not the right word, but I want to hear your take on this uncertainty we're constantly working through.
I love that question. And it couldn't come at a better time. We live in a world that if you wanted to scope the headlines, there's a lot of uncertainty. In fact, there's almost a war going on in our mind for our beliefs about good people, our beliefs about the world as a whole. And we're all being challenged right now. And when I feel uncertain, it's calling me home because there's a space and a place inside us where we
Mm,
are calm, where we are capable, where we are confident. And
mm,
when we come back home to refuel, it makes us able to handle that uncertainty in small, bite sized, digestible moments. And I even found myself here in this current times we're in. I felt a lot of chaos around the eclipse. And I don't normally stroll social media, but I found myself going out to TikTok. And within 10 minutes, I got a plethora of collective consciousness and what's going on in the world. And it was everything from the Diddy parties to the destruction caused by the hurricane, the people
mm-hmm,
left displaced, the wars going on across our globe, our division through our presidential candidacy moving forward into a new
mm-hmm,
election.
mm-hmm,
And it was through that scrolling that I got to tune in to that uncertainty that was going on in me, that I was sensing, that I was feeling. And now I could validate it and say, I feel like I can put labels to all this chaos I feel inside me.
mm,
But being able to do that, if you're attached to it, you can't get clarity.
mm,
Clarity comes when we're able to stand apart from it.
mm-hmm,
And I think self-awareness was my biggest growth, right? Becoming more self-aware as to how I feel, what's going on inside me, what's my motive, what's my story, what's my belief, right?
mm,
Because until I can be self-aware and stand apart from myself
mm,
to observe what's going on, I can't alter it.
mm,
It's like being that actor in the picture
mm,
versus being the director, of that scene. And we're both. But what role am I going to play at this moment? And to me, whenever that uncertainty comes, is it's calling me to one, see a bigger picture view.
mm,
Because in the moment, it's always uncertain. But as we keep zooming out
mm-hmm,
and seeing what's really happening, we're evolving. And
mm,
2008 was another time of big, massive shifts and changes in the world around our, it was a credit crisis. And the entire globe, the entire planet Earth was feeling this. And right now, we're going through exactly the same energetic feelings, the collective consciousness of uncertainty, fear, worry, discernment. And it's all coming up, but that doesn't mean we have to wear or own that energy. We can stand apart from it. We can recognize its presence and allow it to soften. It doesn't go away. For me, it feels like it softens around the edges,
Mm.
allowing me to embrace it in a different way.
Hmm. Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. I think that is such a rich perspective. And as we were speaking about um, the awareness, I just saw like this very old soul wisdom part of you really step forward. So I just love hearing you talk about awareness. It's such a um, it is a call for coming home, is what I how I received it, and I hope more people get to receive you in this way.
Thank you. That was nice. I think that awareness is like the prerequisite to personal growth, to
Mm,
personal development, that and the more you give your attention to awareness, the more it keeps expanding to show you more,
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
right?
I wholeheartedly agree with you, and especially I think this is going to resonate with a lot of people in this community, in our community, because we have some sort of fundamental connection with our spirituality, with that awareness, whether we did it in the way of expanding our mind, bringing our mind to that place of limitlessness, whether we did it at the body level, whether we did it in the emotional capacity. I think awareness speaks to a lot of people here. And I also, join hands in a way because awareness has been everything, you know, that just simply makes the difference in what you have right now and what you can have, right? Now, I want to ask you specifically, how do you support clients in developing this awareness in your body of work?
I bring what I call conscious leadership to the workplace, and it starts with awareness, right? And it starts with us and our awareness. Am I present in this now moment and coming at this topic, this meeting? Am I coming from above the line or below the line? Am I expanded and open and receptive? Or if I'm below the line, I'm pretty much opinionated, firm in my opinion, kind of closed off, um, like a fixed mindset,
Mm,
more not wanting to really open up and expand in that moment. And once we start walking through a program where we start giving ourselves these cues to look at, these check ins with
mm,
ourselves, because truthfully speaking, if we're not checking in, then we can't alter anything. And
mm,
it goes unchecked for a while, we may find out that we got stuck in a thought that wasn't supportive or wasn't helping us, or the past or the future. It happens to all of us. I feel like
mm,
we move through different levels of consciousness all day long. And if we're not checking in with ourselves, if we're not monitoring ourselves, then we can't manage ourselves, and then we can't master ourselves. So
mm,
the real goal is to gain a sense of mastery over yourself. And mastery isn't control. It's the ability to shift in the moment to a better feeling thought, a more supportive conversation, um, and ways that empower others. That when we're in our power, we actually invite others to be in their power.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
It's not arrogant, it's not controlling, it's not manipulative. It's evocative and it's supportive and it's empowering. And so when we can create more leaders that are empowering their people instead of controlling or mandating, then we have people who are stepping into their greatness. their purpose, their passion, they're cultivating their talent and their gifts, their contribution. When we really see what we're here for in this human experience, we really tap in to the gifts we're here to bring forth, and we do
Mm-hmm.
it with joy.
Mm-hmm.
The engagement is rich and rewarding. And it isn't just rich and rewarding for you, it's rich and rewarding for others in your presence as well. So it really makes for a culture that really is supportive of our growth
Mm-hmm.
and development for everyone. Getting there is not the easy part. Getting there is the hard part, but understanding the principles and applying them for yourself are it's so easy when you're in a group that's supportive and
Mm-hmm.
repetitive so that you're picking up and adding to and accumulating more growth each week, each practice. Every time you come back into a group of support and learn something new, it's growing on top of what's already there. I feel like this leadership approach is best managed and handled when you bring your whole team to the party, because then you have practices to start instilling immediately together.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it means starting your meetings with a moment of mindfulness.
Mm-hmm.
And when we start to understand how simple mindfulness tactics can start to open and activate full neural activity, we set ourselves up to coming from our higher mind at the start of the meeting and all that we're doing versus our opinionated, egoic aspects of ourselves. I feel
Mm-hmm.
like that shift is the first one that most people struggle with, is knowing the difference between their open and receptive spirit-led self
Yeah.
versus that high achieving, need to accomplish ego-driven self.
Mm-hmm.
And when I mentioned saboteurs earlier, and for anybody on this call, I will open up a invitation at the end for you to join me. But I do some work with saboteurs, and we all have an inner critic, an inner judge that wants to keep us safe, right? And always has its voice going in, asking us if we really should do this. It's
Mm-hmm.
where we want to step out and take a risk, and yet this part of us might be keeping us safe, or where we want to start pushing through into more of our potential, and yet it's out of our comfort zone. It's in that land of the unknown, the uncertain, right? Where all the fun begins, but yet you can let that be fear as well.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. Thank you for sharing all of this and kind of laying the land for us here. I feel like if I if I can summarize this in just, a couple sentences, I'm kind of feeling the urge of going back to the uncertainty one more time. I don't know why that's
Yeah.
so present in the field today. But it is something as entrepreneurs, business owners, business leaders, we all experience it to a degree. And it makes it so much hard to um, understand where do we go from here. So from how I can like even think of the connection between the saboteur um, type of work that you do, it's really even in uncertainty, there's this big field of potentiality open for us. And what looks like this level of fogginess in the moment is this call to recalibrate, to come home, in your words, to kind of recalibrate, come back to you and respond to things differently. And maybe there's a new beginning somewhere hidden there. Am I capturing your essence? Your
Uh,
work sessions or
yes, yes, and uncertainty's different for all of us, depending upon where we're at in our life. If someone just got a diagnosis, their uncertainty is different. If someone just lost a loved one, their uncertainty is different. If they just lost their job, right, their uncertainty is different. But no matter what the uncertainty, one thing we can be sure of is it's uncertain everywhere out there,
mm-hmm,
right? And to be okay in uncertainty is the first step, is to
mm,
realize that it's not breaking me. I could stay in uncertainty for another hour and still be alive, right?
mm,
Not going to
mm,
die. It's not killing me. And
mm,
yet, to stop labeling it, right? To stop resisting it, because when we're in that resistance and denial, and then we're really stuck. It's hard to see anything. But one thing I know is that most of the uncertainty is all outside of us. And
mm,
all you need to know is what you can control.
mm-hmm,
And that's
mm-hmm,
how you respond to it in this now moment.
mm-hmm,
When we break it down to what's really happening at the root cause, each
mm,
one of us, and I'm just going to say me right now, I get to choose how to relate to this now moment. How do I want to relate to life right now in this moment? And if I don't like how it feels once I choose, I get to choose again.
mm-hmm,
And
mm-hmm,
I get to choose again. And I
mm-hmm.
get to choose again
Yeah.
until I can come up with a way of relating to this now moment in a way that feels better.
Mm-hmm,
And what do all those shifts and changes mean? Right? They're uniquely different for each of us. In the beginning, I struggled to hold multiple perceptions in my mind all at the same time. And as I kept going inward, as I kept asking for greater clarity, creating that two-way conversation with spirit and getting intuitive downloads and receiving, I felt like holding more perceptions was a gift
mm,
for all of us, that we're supposed to be able to see a bigger picture view and the detail of our role here, right?
mm-hmm,
A marriage, a family is a bigger picture view of a family unit. But everybody there has their own little detail and personalities and roles they play. Same with your organization, same with your community, right? And yet each one of us is choosing how we relate right here, right now. So at the root cause, uncertainty can be caused by outside circumstances and stimulus, or it could be created by internal causes as well.
mm-hmm,
We can create our own uncertainty. We can create our own fear. We can, right? But I think the uncertainty we're really speaking of is uncertainty as business owners, next steps. And it is behooving us right here, right now, to be in that state of uncertainty, because how we relate to our clients is changing.
mm-hmm,
We're evolving. New
mm,
things are showing up left and right.
mm,
4 years ago, most people never heard of Grubhub. They'd never practiced having food delivered for every
mm-hmm,
meal or even once a week. And after COVID, people got introduced to ordering groceries online and picking them up or having them delivered. We opened up to a whole new arena of options. And guess what? Before COVID, those options were there, but we didn't see them.
mm.
For many
Yeah.
of us, we didn't see them, right?
Mm.
Unless you used Zoom, you didn't see that as an option to communicate with
No.
your family across the globe, but it was there.
Mm.
So sometimes the uncertainty opens us up to seeing more of what we would want to see. My favorite question I teach all clients to really tune into is, what would you love? What would you love in this moment? What would you love? If you could wave a magic wand and relate in this moment in a way that would feel really good and powerful for you, what would that feel like?
Hmm. Hmm. That is excellent. Excellent. And this is the way we start taking the power back in our own hands instead of playing in anything else that may be going on outside of us. This is so beautiful. Well, I would love for you to share with our community how people can get in touch with you, how they can work with you, what would be the best way to get started on their journey with you.
The best way would be to get on a call with me. And I'd love to offer anybody who's interested a invitation to join me in a saboteur assessment and empowerment call. It's I can post in the chat and maybe we can, put a post out in the
Mhm.
comments.
I did
Um,
already.
okay, perfect. So it's a way for you to unlock your inner power. And I feel like unlocking our power is a two-step process. We have to see, what's been blocking it. Because if we're not standing in our power, something's been blocking it. It could be limiting beliefs, could
Hmm.
be your saboteur showing up, could be that inner critic having a too big a stand to speak on and you letting it speak too long. When I said that I got stuck in my doctor's prognosis, we all get stuck in these stories that don't serve us. And here's the real issue is we can't see our own blind spots.
Mhm.
We need a community of support. We need coaches. We need groups that actually have people in them that are going to help us see our blind spots so that we can make the changes necessary to come back into our power. And I do feel like it's really expanding in the world for us right now, where we're really getting a clear vision of what it looks like to stand in our power and some confidence that comes
Hmm.
with it, right?
Yeah, that is really powerful body of work because I can vouch for this even in my own journey. This has been a game changer. Before I used to play in this field, and now the field has extended, a million times bigger. And that just changed my career trajectory, my business trajectory, my family life. It just changed everything. And it's all up here, all up here. The limits are all in here. So thank
We
you for,
do. We limit ourselves, don't we?
we do so
Yeah.
much. That
Yeah.
is, that is such a way of living life,
Yeah.
that's
And here's
all
one more
we
thing
know.
I want to share. Because you said it's all up here, right? Like this,
Mm.
it really is us being all in our head, but we live in a society that taught us to be in our
Mm-hmm.
head, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
to think for ourselves, to have answers, to know the answers. And we've been forced into being overly intellectual,
Mm-hmm.
right? And coming from our head. And I feel like what the spiritual journey has done for me is opened my heart and allowed me to think with my heart and feel with my mind. So flipping
Mm.
that, allowing, right? And sometimes just that flipping is the confusion. Have you tried brushing your
Mm.
teeth left-handed or doing things with the opposite hand, right? It forces you outside your comfort zone. And
Mm.
in every now moment, we're writing new programs. We're influenced by the world around us. 2 weeks ago, I was on the pickleball court and I took a real hard hit with a ball to my nose, and I thought it was going to be a nosebleed. It was nothing. In fact, normally when you get hit with the ball, it stings so hard. It stings so bad that the skin took that impact and starts a little bit of inflammation, and you can actually feel that inflammation starting in your body, like wherever the ball hit you, but I got nothing. But what I noticed was I kept playing because I was fine. 3 more games, and in each of those games, I had written a program that wasn't written with my permission. It had me ducking every time the ball came at me.
Mm.
So we're writing programs consciously and unconsciously. And if we aren't conscious enough to be self-aware, then I can't see I wrote that program. But it was written to
Mm.
protect me, right? It
Mhm.
was my unconscious, my subconscious programming trying to come back and say, oh, let's protect her so she doesn't get hit in the face again. But I
Yes.
don't want that program. I want a program that says, get that paddle up in front of my face. Get my right. I want a
Right.
different program.
Yeah.
But if you're not self-aware, you can't catch yourself in your everyday
Yeah.
activities to see how programs are being written on
Wow.
your best behalf. Yep.
Yeah. I've known about this, but to come to your example, it's like wow. It's like even in such kind of little thing, it's not a little thing. It's such a big thing. But in that moment to remember this, when all your body may want is like, wait, I got hurt, I'm hurting, and I don't know what is going to happen. Even in that moment to be able to remember, what do I want? Better reflexes, better instincts, right? Wow.
Yes.
Thank you so much
Yes.
for speaking to that.
Yes. Beautiful.
Well, we are at time. I would just want to say thank you to you again for such an insightful talk today and for really helping us anchor back on awareness. And I know many of us here in our community are creating beautiful, powerful businesses, offerings. And when we marry awareness to this creation, I know it turns into solid gold. So I really appreciate you giving us, sharing this medicine with us. And with that, um, I am going to close out today's call. And if you are here watching this as a replay, if you happen to watch this as a replay, put hashtag replay, let us know you're here. And if you have any questions for Donalee on anything that came up today in our conversation, please put it here. Donalee is still in our group. And Donalee, would that be okay if people ask you a question after the fact?
Absolutely. And thank you, Shakti, for one, the work you do.
Mm,
Two, bringing a group together to keeping us in that spiritual alignment so we can have six-figure spiritually led
mm,
businesses because we do need support along the journey. We all do, and community is going to be big going forward. So thank you so much for serving
mm,
us and supporting us along this
mm.
journey. You're golden.
Thank you. So are you. Thank you. Thank you for being part of our community. And thank you for really showing up today in your medicine and helping us really recalibrate and come home to that I am safe and I got this.
Thank
All
you.
right. Bye, everyone.